All right. So welcome everybody to the monthly workshop for at-home songwriting. This is going to be writing from a title. So we're going to talk about a technique that has been around for a long time and I think is something that I kind of take for granted because this is the way that I really started writing songs when I was a kid was writing from a title because I somehow discovered that I loved picking up a CD cover or a cassette cover or a record cover and like reading the song titles and thinking about, well, what is that song about, right? Like the title was what sort of pulled me in and made me want to be like, ooh, what could that be? And then all of a sudden you realize like, oh, the song is really centered around that title, whatever the title is. And a lot of times they might do a flip on the idea, right? So what you think it is may not be actually what the song is about, but a lot of times it is related. Um, and then sometimes you'll find songs where the title has nothing to do with the song at all, like Goo Goo Dolls Iris, right? Like, and I think that having that title actually affected the success of that song. Obviously, that was a big hit, but how do you find that song if you don't know the title, right? People have to go and sing it to someone, and then somebody has to know that it's called Iris. So some of you like to be very creative with your titles, and you definitely can. But if you're looking to write sort of commercial or marketable music, a lot of times your title is going to be very much a centerpiece of what the song is. So I want you to keep that in mind is we're really talking about writing songs for people to find, writing songs that are a little bit more um, commercial or marketable, because I know a lot of you want to market your own music, you're singer-songwriters, you want to put out your own music. So I am going to share my screen. And for those of you who might be new, my name is Chad Shank. I started At-Home Songwriting about 3 years ago, coming up this fall. So prior to At-Home Songwriting, I was doing online workshops for the Minnesota Association of Songwriters, teaching locally for songwriting courses, and I also teach lyric writing for Berklee College of Music online as well. So these workshops are completely free, but if you feel like you're getting value or if you want to give tips or support me, definitely appreciate any support that you can give. There's a link in the chat, buymeacoffee.com/at-home-songwriting. So it's easy to give, but no obligation. So I appreciate the people that have given. So thank you. The other thing to let you know, these workshops are posted for 30 days in the at-home songwriting community. That's found at athomesongwritingcourses.com. Just look for this emblem. It's free to sign up, and then you have access to the community where you can post songs and get community feedback. We also do songwriting challenges where we post songs there, and then you can find other workshop replays. So there's that. So, talking about titles, some of you, or maybe many of you, have probably heard of Pat Pattison. So, Pat Pattison wrote the book Writing Better Lyrics. According to Pat, it's the best selling songwriting book of all time. That's what his publisher tells him. I think it is because I think it's rare to go to any sort of songwriter meeting or something where Pat's name doesn't come up, right? He's kind of the leader. He started the songwriting department at Berklee College. So he specializes in lyrics. And his advice is find your title at your earliest possible convenience. So the thought here is if you're not starting with your title, you want to find it as soon as you can, so you can have sort of a North Star on where your song is going. So find your title at your earliest possible convenience. Another way to think about this is find your hook at your earliest possible convenience. Anthony asked if I'm in Pat's fan club. I actually teach Pat's curriculum online, so I'm kind of dipped in Pat Pattison all over. So yeah. Many successful writers start their songs with the title. So the earliest possible place you can find a title is by starting with it. And this is very common within the Nashville songwriting team, or within the Nashville songwriting, not team, but the community. Um, a lot of writers will start with that title because it gives you a hook and it can give you a lot of information. It gives you a lot of direction. It gives you um, lots of direction that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. So if you haven't tried writing from a title, this is something that I highly encourage you to try after the workshop, because obviously attending these and getting knowledge is one thing, but then actually practicing it and putting into play is really how you learn and really how you grow as a songwriter. So songwriting is one of those things where just knowing it is not the same as executing. So one thing to remember when you think about titles, or when you think about songs, songs are art for the ears. So songs are for the ears, not the eyes. So one of the things that people get confused is, well, when I'm writing a song, I'm just writing poetry and setting it to music. And that's fine. You can do that. You know, there are some songs that are definitely poetry set to music, but songs have a different function than poetry. Poetry is more to be read, it's more open to interpretation from the either reader or the person who's like doing, you know, what do they call it? Like reading poetry out loud, like poetry slam, or I don't, I can't think of the spoken word. There we go. So songs, on the other hand, are not as much left for interpretation. When you're reading a poem, you control the pace that you're reading it. You control the tone of how you read it. You control if you are looking back at something or if you're looking forward to what's coming next. Songs are happening to you in a linear progression, so you don't see anything that's coming up before you, and anything that happened before will color your interpretation of what's coming next. So when you think about songs, the details that you start with run down the song, whereas if you give us detail late in the song, we do not connect it back to things that happened before. We connect it to things that happen later. So for those of you who think it's a good idea to sort of hide your surprise point of your song late in your song, you're missing the opportunity to actually make your point, because it won't go backwards to what's happening. So we could probably do a whole workshop on that type of stuff, on how lyrics work that way. But if we think about poetry versus song titles, right? So here's a poem. It's crusty. The smell is overwhelming. I only want to leave here. Oof. Right? That's my poem. I know. Don't steal it. It's the best writing ever. But what if the title is Rotten Cheese, right? Rotten cheese, crusty. The smell is overwhelming. I only want to leave here. Oof. Right? The title colors what's happening in the poem. But what if you said the title is Grandma? Grandma, crusty, the smell is overwhelming. I only want to leave here. Oof. Right? This is not how we listen to songs. So many times when we hear songs, we don't know what the title is. So we don't have the luxury of understanding the color of the song before we actually listen to it. And some of you be like, well, I read the lyrics when I'm listening to it. It's like, but do you always read the lyrics when you discover a new song? I don't think that's necessarily the case, right? A lot of times we're just listening. Jeanette says the CTA red line. Yep. 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 Um, so I want you to think about titles in poetry have a different job than a song title. A song title is your hook. It is what the song is about. It is the North Star. It is the part that you want people to remember. So your title then holds a ton of useful information. So as you are thinking of titles and when you are coming up with titles, and I would encourage you, if you don't do this, have like a note in your phone or have a little notebook that you carry with you. Start listening to dialogue in everyday language. Start looking at signs. When you're watching TV, listen for phrases that could be very interesting song titles because they'll start to stand out to you. But what information does a title hold? Well, first off, it provides a hook. So, what do we mean by hook? By hook, I mean it provides you with a concept. It provides you with sort of an angle or a place to start thinking about what the song is actually about. So, it provides you that sort of glimpse into an idea. It can start to give you a theme. It gives you the main idea of the song. It also tells you where your verses need to lead. So, what do I mean by that? Well, your verses job is to develop, lead to, and set up your title or set up your hook. So people will say, well, the verses are there to set the stage or to tell the story. Exactly. The story that it should be telling should be running you smack dab into what your title is or what your hook is. Anthony says he thought all verses lead to the chorus. So not all songs have choruses, but most songs have a title. So even in verse refrain songs, your verses are leading to your hook title line, which is the refrain. So the title usually lives within the chorus, but you can also have your title in verses as well. Also, your title holds a rhythmic motif. So all lyrics have a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables, which we talk about in other workshops. So if you want to learn more, go to athomesongwriting.com. There's a lyrical matching workshop that I have online, but each title will hold rhythmic information as well. Jeanette says pre-choruses lead to the chorus. Yes, pre-choruses are a link between your verse and your chorus where that information should be leading to your hook as well. Also, titles hold sonic information. So titles hold vowel sounds, which when you're talking about matching vowel sounds, you're talking about rhyme. When you're talking about matching consonant sounds, you're talking about alliteration and consonant rhyme. So your title has sonic information that you can use to develop songs as well. So if you want to break it down to an easy thought, is your title holds ideas, it holds sound, and it holds rhythm. So all of those things can come from one song title. Any questions on that so far? Cool. So there's two types of song titles. So there's concrete or DNA titles. So DNA titles or concrete titles are titles that are sense-based. They are concrete details, and it helps you to see part of the story in the title. It creates an image in your mind. It creates like a visual or some kind of sense reaction. So examples of a DNA title would be like Gunpowder and Lead, You Give Love a Bad Name, Castle on the Hill, Eleanor Rigby, Leaving Las Vegas. All of those are very visual, very concrete detail. It sort of tells part of a story just in the title. That's a DNA title. Now, your abstract titles are what we would call parasitic titles. And the reason why it's considered to be parasitic, which is kind of a funny word, but your title needs the rest of the song in order for it to make sense. So song titles like Imagine or Respect or Without You, Believe, Love, Don't, those titles don't tell us much, so we need to have the song to really set it up. So that would be called a parasitic title. Parasitic titles run the risk of being a little more cliche, right? So more people might be using a parasitic title. It may be more generic, whereas your DNA titles, like Ed Sheeran, Castle on a Hill, right? Like that instantly creates an image. You instantly sort of want to know, well, what's the story behind that? Now, the question would be, well, what type should I use? The type you use doesn't matter as much, but DNA titles can help your song stand out and pull people in. So if you're looking to have more original song titles, more original ideas, then you'd want to try to experiment with concrete DNA titles. Some good places to find DNA titles are within your object writing or your sense-based writing. Pull out different words or phrases that are based on sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, movement. All of those sense-based languages is a good place to start. So I wanted to show you an example of a song that I wrote from a title. And I know this is the title of another hit song, Shame on the Moon, right? So this was the title that I started with. So Shame on the Moon. So starting with the title, I first looked at, well, what is my rhythmic motif? So if you say shame on the moon, that's dum da da dum. So it's strong, weak, weak, strong. So shame on the moon, right? So there's a rhythm there. Dum da da dum. Dum da da dum. So as I'm writing this song, I thought, well, could I create a groove based on the rhythm of my title? So I ended up creating this music as the place where I started writing from this title. So this is what I had come up with for the dum da da dum. Whoops. So do you hear how it's dum da da dum, dum da da dum? So that was shame on the moon, shame on the moon. So once I had that title and I had that groove, I then had a feeling. And yeah, Dana, I actually stole this title from a Berklee course. So you probably are in that course right now. So the dum da da dum, right? So that was the rhythm. So now I had to start thinking about, what does this hook mean? So starting to think about the hook, it was shame on the moon. So what does shame on something mean? So I thought of it as being kind of playful, right? So I thought shame on you came to mind. So that was like, okay, some people say like shame is more of a like you want to shame somebody, but I think like shame on you can be kind of playful. So I wanted to take sort of that angle, and I thought the music sort of played that way. So I thought, shame on you for doing something, but I'm saying shame on the moon. So I had to think of, well, what is the moon doing that I could play with, right? So thinking of what would the moon be doing, I thought shame on the moon for pulling us into a random night of romance. So saying kind of playfully like it's the moon's fault, right? Like shame on the moon for making us fall in love in this random night of romance. So then I started thinking, could this be on vacation? Maybe it's a tropical place. Like, where is this happening? And part of the reason why I'm thinking about where is it happening is because I need some visual details to build a verse, right? I need something to set a scene and set up that who, when, and where, like we've talked about in other workshops. So where do I get some of the visual details? Where do I get sense-based information that doesn't feel cliche? So one of the things to remember, the more emotion, the more emotional and abstract you write, and the less concrete detail you include, you have a higher chance of being more cliche because you're just stating emotions that a lot of people have stated before. So how you become less cliche is you use more sense-based detail that's original to your way of thinking. And then I thought, if it's on vacation, could I get more specific and say, could I start the song at a beach bar under the moon? So I started thinking about sand and like a full moon and started getting those ideas in my head. So here is the song outline that I came up with, starting with Shame on the Moon, and then thinking about, well, what is the moon doing? So my verse one, I thought, well, I'm going to be at a vacation bar having a drink and I meet someone. So that was my verse one. So that's where things are starting. Chorus then comes to the hook, right? So shame on the moon. So I'm having a drink and I meet someone, shame on the moon. Verse two then, I thought, well, we're going to move forward in time where we're now after this vacation and the moon now is not bringing us together, but the moon is reminding me of that night. So shame on the moon for reminding me. Next up with the bridge, I wanted to say, well, there was magic that night and now it has to fade. So the fact that it has to fade, I'm still getting reminded of it. Shame on the moon, right? So I'm moving that hook through a recoloring. So we've talked about recoloring your chorus, recoloring your hook in the past. So first off is meeting someone, shame on the moon, getting reminded of them, it's the moon's fault. Next one is the memories or that night fades, shame on the moon, right? So everything is leading back to the hook. And I think one of the things that you should do before you even start writing actual lyrics is to do outlines like this so you understand what are you actually saying in each section rather than the actual words, right? So there's a difference between what you're actually communicating and what the words are doing. So a lot of times as writers, we focus too much on the actual words when we miss the point. So that's something to think about. So now that I had a location, I wanted to come up with some concrete stuff that I can use to write my first verse. So I said we're full moon, bar on the beach. So I set a timer for I think like 4 minutes and I wrote silver light on the, and what I'm doing is I'm going from my senses, right? So I'm object writing. So I'm doing sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, movement. If you're not familiar with object writing, that's a Pat Pattison, part of the Pat Pattison gospel. It's in Writing Better Lyrics. But you're writing from your senses. So I said silver light on the sand, palm trees, full moon in the full moon in the clear sky, stars, speckled across the midnight sky, tiki torches, Caribbean music, people partying and drinking, margaritas, and umbrellas in the drinks. The night is Malibu rum. It smells like the ocean. The sound of the waves and the people chatting and laughing. Feel the sea breeze. Handsome guy makes the room disappear. Business trip. Mysterious moments. Cocktails. Appetizers. Vacation evening. So that's what I wrote. So I had written this to then start to think about, well, what am I going to say in my verses? And if you remember, I already had the groove, right? So I already had the doom, da da doop, shame on the moon. So I already had some music and kind of a feel to it, right? So I then took this and created my first verse. And I want to play for you the final song and also have you read the lyrics to see how all of that came together to become Dana, my version of Shame on the Moon. So this is how the song turned out.
Full moonlight, silver on palm trees, bar on the beach in the sand, sound of the ocean with cocktails, chance meeting you changed my plans. Thought that I would have one drink and call it. Never thought we'd have the night like this. I say shame on the moon that got us in this moment, and the passion of you, us dancing under starlight. I say shame on the moon for teasing us with romance. I say shame on the moon, shame on the moon. Oh, I still think of vacation, back to that one night of love. I can't forget what that felt like. Every full moon brings it up. I thought that I would move on and get past it, missing you again on nights like this. I say shame on the moon that got us in this moment, and the passion of you, us dancing under starlight. I say shame on the moon for teasing us with romance. I say shame on the moon, shame on the moon. You and me found a magic, a magic, magic. Island lovers escape, 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 escape. It could never have lasted. No, 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 no. Like a breeze in the night, it had to fade away. I say shame on the moon that got us in this moment, and the passion of you, us dancing under starlight. I say shame on the moon for teasing us with romance. I say shame on the moon, shame on the moon. I say shame on the moon that got us in this moment, and the passion of you, us dancing under starlight. I say shame on the moon for teasing us with romance. I say shame on the moon, shame on the moon.
So that's what the song became. Thank you, Pierre. I see you clapping. So do you hear how that groove sort of continued throughout the same thing? Each verse led back to my outline, right? Like I followed my outline almost to a T, but the specific way that I said it sort of changed. And one of the things to think about is even if you write lyrics first, um, the sooner you can set them, or at least set the first verse and the chorus to music, you can then use that melody for the rest of your song. So, like verse two, the other choruses, sometimes I see people writing lyrics first and they're not matching the rhythms, they're not matching sort of the structure. So the melody is all over the place. I saw Anthony asked earlier, do I write melody first or lyrics first? I kind of go back and forth, but I will tell you that one of the fastest ways that you can improve your songwriting is improve your melodies. Most people think that a melody is just, I want to sing my lyrics over a chord progression, and you're missing the power of the melody because melody is the first thing that people hear. Because again, most people, when they're listening to a song, they don't have lyrics in front of them, right? So they have no idea what's coming next unless you write really cliche and predictable lyrics, which you don't want to do. So the way that your listener hears your songs for the first time is they're actually focusing on the like the melody. So they're kind of focusing on how it sounds. So having a strong singable melody is of ultra importance. So that's how I had written this song. Any questions, other questions on my process or anything that you saw here? So Victor, I see you have your hand raised.
Chad, I love how you structured this. It's a great example of the little outline that you gave. This is the kind of thing that Cole Porter used to do, right? That mood of it sounds kind of upbeat and playful, but yet there's a sting underneath. Begin the Begin is a classic example. I never got that till the movie came out, and Sheryl Crow did a version of it in minor. And then I saw, oh my God, this song always bothered me because I was feeling something that I couldn't articulate, but there's a real sting underneath that. So this is very, very good. I'm still trying to figure out if it's a playful, happy song or whether it's a sad song.
Yeah.
But I
No,
love the
that's a
journey. I
cool.
love how the story goes and all of that.
Yeah, when you talk about songs that, what are songs actually about? Like the Whitney Houston song, I Want to Dance with Somebody. If you actually pay attention to what the lyric is saying, it's actually about loneliness.
Hmm.
Basically saying like, I'm lonely, I want to dance with somebody. But everybody thinks about it like it's a dance song. Like I just want to dance with somebody. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually a person that's actually really lonely, but the music doesn't sound that way, right?
Yeah.
But it gives you that dancing feeling too.
I love songs like that because it's like Easter eggs. The more you listen to it, you start discovering new dimensions. I had one more
Yes.
question before we move on the two types of songs.
Yeah.
And it's I'm trying to think, is there a third, or is this really those songs that have titles that really don't tell you anything at all? For instance, Blur's Song 2, which everybody calls the Yoo-Hoo song, right? Is that a parasitic then?
I would consider that parasitic because it doesn't tell you anything about what's in the song, right? Like it's just a title.
Okay.
Um, and then there's also people who just name things random things because they think it's artistic and cool. But in today's day and age, like what's somebody going to search for when they're looking for your song, right? They're going to search for whatever the hook is, and your song's going to have a hook whether you decide it on purpose or not, right? So something is going to feel like the hook. So if you can name your song the hook and you can have your hook very noticeable or the title very noticeable, it makes your song more discoverable online. Shelley said, I love how the title has the groove. Did I create my soundtrack on a keyboard or in a DAW? I use Logic, Shelley, so I use my DAW to create that. Anthony says, is that the opposite of prosody when the music is opposite of the lyrics? No, so prosody is not an opposite. So you don't have prosody or not. Prosody is how all of the parts work together as a whole. So prosody is how the marriage of all of the structure matches with the content. So if your content doesn't match, that's a form of prosody. And when that happens, sometimes the emotion that's communicated can be one of sarcasm or irony. Kind of like what Victor's saying is like, it sounds happy, but is it really like a crying while you're laughing type of a feeling? So prosody is not a you either have prosody or you don't. Prosody is the sum of how all the parts are working together to communicate an idea or an emotion. And the idea with prosody is can um, good writers can really use the tools to control what kind of prosody is happening. So the idea is not to have prosody or not. The idea is to know how you are communicating to your listener. So how you are purposefully thinking about how the structure and how the lyrics work together. Because whether you're thinking about it or not, it's going to have some kind of prosody, and the goal would be to have the prosody that you want. Um, uh, Suzanne says, "How did I decide on harmonies when I did the ad libs?" Kind of just in the key and the chords that I had. A lot of the harmonies were just like thirds, and then the held out harmonies that were in the back, those were just singing the chordal tones. So I was just singing the chords. Jay, you had your hand raised.
Hey, Chad. Yeah, so on prosody, I mean, I know a lot of people ask the question on like really what it is, and for it's a terrible example, but I find it ever useful. Would you not say this similar to like Rotten Tomatoes or Tomato Meters? Like, okay, you can have a 1, but you want 100. It's not really like there is gonna be a rating, but how strong is that rating? Like, just how much prosody is there? Like,
No, prosody is not really a spectrum. It's not really a scale. It's really just how everything works together, right? Like, um, what is the sort of overall unity, or what is the overall connection of everything? So it's not a scale, it's not a spectrum. Um, it's it's uh it's more or less like, what is it communicating? And is the structure supporting what you're saying in a certain way? Like a lot of times as songwriters, you're not thinking about how your decisions affect your lyric, right? So things as simple as, how many lines does my verse have? That can affect the emotion of the section, because if you have an even number of lines, you have a very stable feeling, you have a balanced feeling. So is your topic balanced? If it's not balanced, you could basically have a disconnect between what you're saying and how the structure is supporting it, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So Samuel asked if that song is so all of my music is online. So if you just search for Chad Shank, Shame on the Moon, you should be able to find that song and listen to it. Any other questions before we move on? Perfect. So next up, I wanted to talk about leading to the title. So how do your lyrics relate back or lead to the title? So again, this is something to think about when you are sort of doing the pre-lyric writing work. So when you're outlining your song, how do your lyrics then relate back to what the title is? So I wanted to pull up the lyrics for Ed Sheeran, Castle on a Hill. So obviously the hook is Castle on a Hill, right? So if you look line by line at what's happening in this song, there's a bunch of stuff that we can talk about here. But we're talking about the title. So the title is Castle on a Hill. So if you go line by line, it says, when I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. So you could relate that back to the title because, like, where did that happen? By the castle on the hill. When I was running from my brother and his friends, well, where did that happen? That was by the castle on the hill. And tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down by the castle on the hill. And I was younger then. Take me back to when I found my heart and broke it here, made friends and lost them through the years, and I've not seen the roaring fields in so long. I know I've grown, but I can't wait to go home. So where is that home? It's by the castle on the hill, right? So all of that is leading and relating to the hook. When we get to the chorus, it says, I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel, and it's real. And we watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. So there's the payoff, right? So the hook comes at the end of the chorus. So if you attended the chorus workshop that we did, you would know that there's a bunch of swing lines and then your title line at the end. And he's putting the title in a power position. The power position is the last line of the section, and it's the last part of the line of this section. So that's a very powerful place to put your information. So the most powerful sections, or excuse me, the most powerful lines in your sections are the first line and the last line of a section. That gets the most impact, and that is what sets up your sections the most. So one of the things to think about is something that's called checking your seams. So if you read the first line and the last line of each section, does it still kind of make sense? And are you putting important information in those spots, right? So with Ed, if you read just the first and the last lines, it says, when I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. Take me back to when I found my heart and broke it here, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, and we watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. It still makes a lot of sense, even though it's not exactly, but it still leads us to the hook, and we understand somewhat of what's happening. So one thing to check when you're writing is, what am I putting in those spotlighted parts of your lyrics, your first and your last lines? So moving on to the second verse then, now we're moving forward in time, right? So 15 years old and smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, running from the law through the backfields and getting drunk with my friends. Had a first kiss on a Friday night. I don't reckon that I did it right, but I was younger then. Take me back to when we found weekend jobs, when we got paid. We'd buy cheap spirits and drink them straight. Me and my friends have not thrown up in so long. Oh, how we've grown, but I can't wait to go home. So because he established so much information in the first half of the song, he doesn't have to tell us where home is anymore, right? We know that it's back by the castle on the hill, and it's where he's going to. So the hook then comes back around, and it comes back, same chorus basically, and it still kind of says the same thing. So now he moves forward in time again. So one friend left to sell clothes, one works down by the coast, one had 2 kids but lives alone, one's brother overdosed, one's already on his second wife, one just barely getting by. All these people raised me, and I can't wait to go home. And I'm on my way, going to the castle on the hill, right? So everything leads to that hook, but what everything is doing is, Castle on the Hill is a DNA title. So a DNA title, since it's sense-based, doesn't have any emotion to it on its own, right? So when you have a DNA title, you need lines that set it up emotionally. So what Ed is doing is he's setting up a concrete title by talking about, I can't wait to go home. to the castle on the hill, right? So the emotion is actually about anticipation. So if you had to say, you know, what is the song about? The emotion is anticipation, but it's actually about castle on a hill, which is sort of a metaphor for his past. It's both literal past and metaphorical past. I'm talking really fast, going through a lot of stuff. Does some of this make sense? Is this helpful for you? Any questions on this? I think Jay Ed's from the UK, so I'm assuming there's real castles there. Anthony
Oh no,
says,
I got it. I was just replying to the above question.
got it. So I want to play you Castle on a Hill, and I want you to pay attention to kind of how the lines are leading back to the hook and how the song is set up. And for those of you who have been attending workshops for a while, listen to how even though the chorus is saying the same things, it's still being recolored because he's changing the who, the when, and the where. Remember, when you're advancing your song, you can play with the who, when, the where, and then the chorus is really the why. So your why stays the same, but your who, when, and where changes. So this is Castle on a Hill. Got to get unmuted. There we go. So what are some thoughts that you had now listening to it and kind of going over what we just discussed and what we just talked about? Victor.
Yeah, powerful stuff going on here. The recoloring is fantastic, right? The castle starts off in the way that kids look at castles as kind of like mythical things and dreams and hopes and the future. And then you see the castle changes over time. The real star, though, literally is the sun, right? The sun going down on that castle, that really kicks you pretty hard as he moves through the song. And then all the things that we've been talking about. I don't want to reiterate the workshop, but he's pulling everything together here pretty well, man.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I heard like Ed Sheeran was gonna have a song called Castle on a Hill, like or on the Hill. Um, and I was like, well, I wonder where he's gonna take that, right? Because it doesn't instantly sort of suggest anything, but it's still visual. It still has that kind of visual aspect to it, and I think that's what makes us want to hear it, is because we're like, well, what is the importance of a castle on a hill? Dana says, would that be DNA or parasitic? I would say it's DNA, because it gives you a picture, right? And it makes you want to be pulled in and you sort of see it without hearing the rest of the song. Jeanette, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of storytelling and yes, a lot of visual that leads up to his title. So, but he keeps it going too. So the good thing about him is also he's got an excellent prosody with his songwriting.
Absolutely. And notice, speaking of prosody with like the groove, obviously he didn't use the same tool of that I did with the, you know, having the groove built from the title. But notice how the whole thing was very driving, right? Like it was very much like moving forward, and it felt like there was a lot of tension built up in it. And I think that is what the song is about, right? Like he's going 90 down a country road, just waiting to get somewhere, and that feeling of things passing is sort of where the music and the prosody comes in. Is it sort of has that feeling, it gives us that feeling that matches what the lyric is saying. um any other questions or thoughts before we jump back in? As the old proverb says, Victor, too soon old, too late smart. Yeah, yeah. Um, so I wanted to summarize sort of what we've been talking about into some actionable steps, excuse me, for all of you. So I wanted to review again. So what are some of the, and obviously there's no right or wrong way to write a song, right? Like if you have a unique way where you like throw darts at books and whatever words it lands on, and that's how you write your song, perfect. Um, but this is just one way that you can try and practice. And I would encourage you to use these steps to actually write some songs and give it a chance. I think sometimes people get so stuck in this thought that writing a song has to feel really good and really natural and it just kind of has to plop out of me. The ease that you write a song and the amount of fun that you have writing a song has no bearing on how good it is. So if you have a song that just plops out and you're like, that was really fun, that was awesome, it must be great. It might not be. It might be, but it might not be. So I want you to get out of this sense of like how easy it is to write. That must mean it's just great and it was given to me by the gods, right? Totally could be. Go with it. But I also want you to push yourself and be a little bit challenged and know that if it feels like it's a little bit weird to do, that means you're growing. So I would encourage you to keep pushing through some of the weirdness. And nothing says that you have to always write a certain way, but it's definitely something to add to your toolbox. Whoops. Why am I jumping back so far? Hold on. All right, so writing from a title steps. So first, you have to find a title that speaks to you, right? So that could be anywhere. It could be book titles, it could be movie titles, it could be watching the closed captioning when you're watching movies or TV shows. It could be lines from books. It could be social media posts. It could be things that people say. It could be idioms. It could be certain... sometimes you can even write songs that start with a cliche, right? Like roses are red, like no duh, right? But how could you make an interesting story from a title called Roses Are Red? That might be an interesting way. So start with a title. Second is look at the sounds in your title. What are the consonant sounds? What are the vowel sounds? And what we're doing here is we're looking for words that either have an alliteration type of a relationship or rhyme. So again, rhyme is really based on the vowel sounds. So title steps, like let's say title steps is our title, right? You have a long I and you have a short E. So you have I and E and E. So I, E. So are there rhymes and words that you could find that have that rhyme with title? Title, maybe it's like shining, whining, title, whining. Steps could be like, crest, blessed, you know what I mean? And start looking for words that rhyme with your titles. Also consonants. So you have a P sound. What if like steps is stop? Step could be tip. A lot of other consonant rhymes too. So you're looking for opportunities to come up with ideas from the sound. Also, can you come up with an interesting angle that will be the hook? So can you explain the song in a couple of sentences, right? So what's your angle where you can say this is what the song is about? One of the things that I suggest doing for this part of the process is by running your title through different emotions. So Google the emotion wheel or the feelings wheel. I think it might be feelingswheel.com. But if you just Google it, it's a whole wheel that has a bunch of different emotions. Take your title and ask yourself, if I was writing about this title through the lens of fear, what would the story be? If I was writing this title through the lens of happiness, what would the story be? And kind of try to come up with different angles and try not to go with the first thing that pops into your mind, because the first thing that pops into your mind is probably what's popping into everybody else's mind as well. So I want you to not just land on the first thing that comes up, but really run your idea through different options and angles to really see what is the coolest and what resonates with you the most. So you actually have choices. And can you write a one-line hook that lands the main idea? You know, for instance, with Ed Sheeran, that might be, and we watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. So that opens up a lot of, you know, who's the we, right? Ed did a really good job of explaining who the we is. And then where were they watching that? Like, where were they in time watching the castle or the sunset, the castle on the hill? So can you write a one-line hook that lands the idea well? And that can be your center of your song. Also, look at the natural rhythm of your title. Can you build a groove from it? Can you build other melody lines that have the same rhythm? You know, one of the things that is really effective in songs is having the same rhythm but different pitches. So you can have different sections have a rhythmic motif that are happening in a different way. So you can use your title to come up with some of that. Also, take some time to think about what are other words that are related to the topic. You know, what are other words that pop into your mind? You know, are there certain verbs? Are there certain nouns? Are there other certain emotions that come to mind? Maybe do some free writing on your topic and your title. See what comes up and write those down. And then take it a bit further and find rhymes for those other words. Because now all of a sudden you have this huge word palette that you can use to start writing your lyric. And it's all already through a lens of a topic, and it's already through the lens of rhyme. So we just talked about that. So find words that rhyme with your title, related words. I already talked about free writing, so you can free write for 5 minutes, get sense bound. You know, think of like if you need something to write about from your senses, pick the who, the when, or the where, right? So if your song is about you, can you describe yourself from your senses? Or if the song is about someone else or a different character, can you describe them? Can you describe the time frame, the location? There's a lot of concrete detail and a lot of sense-based detail that you can get from that. And then pull interesting lines and words out of your free writing, because there's a lot of ideas that can live there. With my song, Shame on the Moon, the first verse is basically all from my free writing. And then once you have all of this sort of information and sort of all of these ideas, build a song outline like I did and see if you can make the verses lead to and also recolor and build up the hook. So those are really the steps that I think that could be very helpful for you as you try to come up with more original. Original is not a good word because most things have been done before. As songwriters, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to be unique. And the uniqueness comes from the sense-based memories that you have that nobody else has. So the more effectively you can describe what you see in your mind through your senses, the more unique your writing will be to other people. Jeanette, you have your hand raised.
Well, looking at this list, I think the one that stands out to me is to find the rhythm of the title, because I think that leads to prosody.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, think about Ed's song, you know, Castle on the Hill. Dun, 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 dun. There's a rhythm there, right? So you can build a section like I'm on my way, castle on the hill, right? It's kind of the same rhythm a little bit, so you have a lot of information within the title that you can build from. So your assignment, all of you, and this is optional, so no, you're not going to be graded, but I thought it would be fun to have you write from a title. So I'd like you, your assignment, should you choose to accept it. Yes, Victor. Yes, your mission impossible. Find an interesting title, use the tools and the steps that I showed you to write a new song, and then record a work tape or a demo, and then post your song in the peer song review section in the online community. And then I think we should all go in and listen and comment on other writers' songs. This isn't like a challenge, so we won't do a meeting to listen to them, but I think we have an opportunity to go in and give some feedback and support each other where you post it online. Dana, there's not really a due date. Obviously, the sooner you do it, the fresher all of this is, but I thought it would be fun to encourage each other to write. And if you're not a member of the community, it's at athomesongwritingcourses.com. It's the free online community. So yeah, so give it some thought, experiment with this. Yeah, Dana, give yourself a deadline. Like say like maybe by next Friday you're gonna post the dang thing, right? Like that's the goal. I will listen to them and then give some comments and things too, and I hope that you'll go in and listen to them and give helpful feedback too, because I think that's a great way to support each other, and it's fun to see how our songs connect with each other. So any questions on that piece?
Yeah, I probably can't do it basically, but I can join the meetings.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm in
Tony
the
said,
UK.
you're in the UK? Yeah, we've got some others here from the UK as well. Tony, rough demo or fully produced, that's up to you. Whatever you want to show everybody. This is just for fun. Like I said, it's not really like the challenge, so it's more just posting online. And then this is the logo that you look for to sign up for the community. And then if you look off to the left, there's a peer song review section. You can post your songs there. I also, before we open it up for questions and discussion, I also wanted to let you all know about a new membership that I've created, and some of you have already joined. But this has been something that I've been considering for quite some time, and I decided to pull the trigger and start it. But I've started a new pro writer group, which this isn't for professional writers. It's for all of us that want to write like professionals at home. And this is a monthly membership where I will be leading weekly meetings like this, where we will focus on different topics, and we'll meet for about an hour each week. And then we'll have exercises and assignments that will be posted into the premium community, which is part of the Pro Writer group. And we'll be able to build each other up and help each other through an accountability standpoint, through a connection standpoint, and then of course, education. But it's at athomesongwritingcourses.com. It's weekly meetings. If you can't attend in person, the meetings will be posted in the community. There will be more interaction with me, more feedback from me, but it's $40 a month, or there's a discount if you sign up annually as well. No obligation, but if you want to be in a group that meets weekly and sort of holds you more accountable, then this would be the group to join there. So just that's my plug. So yeah, so what else do you all want to talk about for today? Anything you're working on that you have questions about, or anything you want to ask me? Tony said, busy at the moment, will this be ongoing, join in the future? Yes, absolutely. So you can join whenever you want to. You can also, leave whenever you want to. Our first meeting is next Saturday. So we're meeting at 9 a.m. Central a week from today. Shelly said she's joined the group already, so she's hoping to see others. So yeah, there's a few of you in here that have already joined, so it'll be fun. So what else is going on? How's the writing going for everybody?
I just started working on Soundtrap out of all the DAW. This has been the one where I was able to drag loops and all that. So I'm working on my end.
Awesome. That's cool. So how's it been going? Have you written some songs or like what's
Yeah,
your process?
yeah. So I let like maybe one, two people hear my songs, and me personally, I think it's really good. But one person has a good ear. They said that I have a good voice, but I'm trying to find a way to adjust the range to match the music that I created. So yeah, I mean, and I play keyboards and guitar, but my next step is to get an audio interface that can plug in, like maybe an electric guitar. But I was off the top, I've been just like recording my um acoustic guitar. But as far as like a microphone, one person said it best, said, "Oh, it sounds like you're in a tin box." I'm like, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
learning,
probably that's probably just the you're just using like an internal mic that's part of your computer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. So I've yet to get that, but right now I was just taking it one step at a time as far as matching it, having breaking them up into pieces to have like a little bit of a space and contrast when it comes to adding loops and whatnot and layering them. So yeah, don't know why Sunchop's the easiest, and I know what's his name, Paul Beckerman was the one that mentioned it a while ago. I can't. I mean, I have Windows, so obviously I don't do Case Logic or Ableton. Ableton's out of my price range, but Soundtrap out of all the DAWs has been the easiest for me to like intuitively learn after learning one tutorial.
Cool.
Yeah,
And it's all online.
yeah, and it's free. It's free, and I remember him saying, Paul Beckman mentioning that it's schools use it a lot. I'm like, why is this the easiest thing? This is a little easier than BandLab. I tried BandLab, but so hopefully they don't get rid of Soundtrap.
I think Soundtrap is owned by Google or some other big company, so I don't think it's going anywhere.
Oh, okay,
Um,
that's good to know.
uh, when you were talking about vocals though, trying to get your
Yes.
voice, I actually know somebody that can help you. Dana Baker, who's here.
Oh,
Um,
right.
Dana is a vocal coach and also a vocal producer in Nashville. She's doing a workshop with us on August 3rd,
Right, I
for those
saw
of you who
that.
are
I
free.
signed up for that. Yeah, that would be great. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, Dana, do you have any quick tips for somebody like Jeanette?
The big thing is that your voice is a muscle and you just have to use it a little bit every day. So instead of
Sure,
like, if you're cramming for a test, studying an hour the night before, it's not going to have the same effect as doing like 10 to 15 minutes every day. So just singing anything, whether it's just like singing along to the radio or anything like that, like you'll start to see improvements and it'll be easier to have a stable, solid sound rather than like trying to find that like, oh crap, like why is my voice wonky today? Like if you do it
sure.
consistently, it'll just have such a stronger foundation. So
Cool. Thanks, Dana.
Awesome.
and
Anybody else
then
have anything they want to
I was
share?
gonna say is on the songwriting front, I love BeatStars. I just started using BeatStars. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's a website where you can buy beats. Some of them are even free and you don't have to pay anything. And so I've been practicing top lining and it's been super duper fun because you
Ooh,
just have like this fully produced track. It's not that expensive and you can just like write melodies, lyrics along to it. And it's been really cool.
I'll check it out.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, and then if you're just looking for tracks that you can write to, and not necessarily release, but it's practice for top lining, you can also search YouTube for beats. Like if you want a certain style, just like search for like I don't know, like Lil Nas X type beat. Just use type beat and like whoever the artist is, like say Dua Lipa type beat, and then like different tracks will come up and you can write your top line to it. And the thing is you may not be able to release the actual track or the actual music, But if you created the lyrics and the melody, that is the song. So you could take it to someone else to produce a track. Or what Dana's talking about is if you pay, or if it's a free agreement, like on BeatStars, some of those producers will let you actually release the track as well. So it's a way to work with other producers for sure. Michelle says, haven't figured that out yet. What's the learning curve? Learning curve for top lining or doing, oh, she's replying to Anthony about or Tony about the AI stuff. Yeah, the AI voice changers, you can change your voice into other people. So you can, you sing, but then it makes it sound like somebody else, which the legalities of that are questionable at the moment too. But there are some sites that there are licensed singers that have been paid a royalty. So they're actually legal and able to do it. But with that, it's interesting to hear someone else's voice on your songs. But if you're a singer-songwriter and you're wanting to release your own music, you wouldn't really want to sound like somebody else, right? That just kind of defeats the purpose. Shelly, you have your hand raised.
So I've been educating myself on HookPad and using their books, Hook Theory. And then, so I have this song I've been working on that I'm not happy with the opening. I just don't like it. I just can't get it. So I've been going into HookPad to put the melody in so I can see the curvature and see what is coming up the same. And they really do a lot of good education in there and walk you through, how you can see where you're repeating things and how you make these little movements. So I'm really liking it. I'm learning in a different way, like theory, than what other places where I've gotten some theory that I'm just like, it's too much. This seems to resonate with me. So I really like it.
Yeah, so HookPad is definitely a cool tool, and it does sort of visually break down what I guess kind of what music theory looks like visually, because it's in a simpler kind of visual format, which and they do have, I think, some online courses or something you can kind of do as well. But that's cool, Shelly.
Yeah.
Michelle says she thinks HookPad could be a great tool. Now there's something to have to consider, but there's a learning curve. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to what do you think that you are lacking within your own writing, right? Like HookPad might be a tool for you, it may not be. The key is you don't have to use everything. Just figure out what part of your writing you want to improve or what you think you need to improve for sure. But are any of you working on projects, or are you looking to release music? Like what's on the docket?
I'm hoping that with the top lining, I could maybe start to pitch it for sync once it gets really good. But as you know, I'm always like, these lyrics could be better. So I'm excited to get better at lyric writing. And I feel like these workshops are such an amazing resource to do so, because I can work at my day job and be like, I wish I was better at lyrics, or I can attend these and be really adamant about putting in the work. So I really appreciate that you do these.
Oh, you're welcome. It's fun. Michelle said, Victor, you're smiling.
Yeah. Do I not smile enough?
No, I think, I mean, I asked the question and then you started laughing. So I think Michelle's like, why are you laughing?
Nobody's owning up to what they're doing, Chad.
I know, like, what's everybody working on? Dory, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough and actually had the courage to say yes to a collaboration to a person from Australia. And I have to say that I've really never collaborated before until you gave us the songwriting challenge of giving us the lyrics and we had to write the music, and then giving us the music and we had to write the lyrics. So that actually gave me a lot of courage to say yes to this project. She's doing it for film and TV. So it's you know, it's a little bit different in the lyric writing on her part. But for me, the music is, I've never really done that like that. I've always written the lyrics and the music. So that's definitely been a challenge, but I've been loving it.
So with this collaboration then, Dory, are you like sending like parts back and forth, or are you getting together?
Yes.
What's been the process?
We're sending, she sent me the lyrics. She's not a singer. And so I've been really fortunate, Chad. She's given me so much creative freedom. And I think that's probably been some of my apprehension with collaboration, because you've taught us it's all about the song. And so I wanted to make sure to keep it that way. But she allowed me to really express myself musically. So she has written lyrics, but has also allowed me to step on that ground in rephrasing certain things that work within a musical genre. And yeah, so we've just been doing docs back and forth. It's been fantastic. I've really been enjoying it.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you took some of the things that you learned in the challenges and now you're applying that in different areas. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Rohan says working on writing metal and rock lyrics, also practicing Shakespeare for a play. Cool. Which has gotten him interested in classical music and lyric writing, libretto or libretti. Very cool. Jeanette says that's a sweet deal. Collab. Yeah, if you can find collaborators that sort of allow you to be you and you have fun with it, that's a big part of it for sure. Pierre's working on retirement. Stop bragging. Yeah, that's awesome. You guys want to hear something that I've done recently? Let me see. Let's do this song. I don't know. Did I play you? I know I played it for another group that I'm in. It's a song called Medicine. Does that ring any bells for any of you? Okay, so I didn't play it in this group. Got it. Let me find it first. I don't have the lyrics typed out, so you'll just have to listen how we normally listen to music. I gotta find the right one. So I'm working on an album, and the title of the album is Shaman. So kind of the idea behind the album is about like going through things and healing, and like, you know, because a shaman is a healer, so like there's a lot of themes around that. So one of the songs that I came up with is called Medicine, and Jeanette says Harry Styles has a song called Medicine. Cool. Yeah, you can't copyright titles, so you can steal other song titles. That's another tip too. I didn't know that he had that, but so this song is part of the album that I'm working on, and what I'm doing is I'm writing 50 songs and then I'm going to pick the best 10. I'm going to pick the best 10, and then I'm going to let my partner pick the songs that he likes, and then maybe I'll ask some of you to listen to them and see which ones you like as well, because I haven't done it this way before. I've always been a write 10 songs, release 10 songs, write 10 songs, release 10 songs. And now I'm like, I want to do it the way the pros do it, is they write way more than they need. And then I'm using the 80-20 rule, right? Like, so 80% of my songs are not going to make it. 20% are going to be the ones. So this is one of the 50. So I don't know if it's going to make it or not, but this is a song called Medicine.
me blushing, coming down with something, dealing with a ton of stress. Emotions keep me spinning, every day's conflicted, feeling like a total mess. Mental symptoms, brainwave rhythms, never resting. Baby, will you be my medicine? Complications, isolation, soul infection. Baby, please be my medicine. You could be my healing, start my chakras clearing, help me feel my light again. Lift me from the darkness, guide me to catharsis. Tell me when I found the mental symptoms, brainwave rhythms, never resting. Baby, will you be my medicine? Will you be my medicine? Complications, isolation, soul infection. Baby, please be my medicine. Be my medicine, yeah. Baby, help me slow things down. Help me see the joy in now. And baby, help me slow things down, yeah. Help me see the joy, help me see the joy, help me see the joy. Mental symptoms, brainwave rhythms, never resting. Baby, will you be my medicine? Will you be my medicine? Complications, isolation, soul infection. Baby, please be my medicine. Baby, won't you be my medicine? Baby, won't you be my medicine? Oh, oh, oh. Baby, won't you be my? Baby, won't you be my? Baby, won't you be my medicine? My medicine, my medicine. You can slow things down, and we can slow things down, and you can heal me from the inside out.
So that was medicine. I saw the comments. Thank you all. 80s R&B influence. Yep. That's what I grew up on. That's what I love too. Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity. That is a great song. And recorded here in Minneapolis. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So that's Minneapolis sound right there. Let me see if there's. You were all talking about AI vocals. I have a song that I did called Faded Photos. And I think I played this for some of you, but for the bridge or for the kind of the later section in the song, I did a rap and I turned my voice into Megan Thee Stallion. So I'll play this song too and show you how the AI vocals work a little bit. So this is also possibly on the project. This is called Faded Photos.
I found a box in my room. It had some papers you left. It made me think back to you. There were some letters we wrote, some feelings I had locked up. The pictures hit me the most. I saw smiles on faces, days when we were happy. A lover's photo booth. Back when we were both living life in a whirlwind, ignoring that we were doomed. Faded photos of our jaded love. Two young lovers lost in time. It's weird to see these memories and think back so long ago. It's true that time helps us heal. I'm back to being myself. I found the path to move on after we both went through hell. I saw smiles on faces, days when we were happy, a lover's photo booth, back when we were both living life in a whirlwind, ignoring that we were doomed. Faded photos of our jaded love, two young lovers lost in time. Faded feelings left in muted hearts. Faded photos stuck in time.
I'm looking back at these photos that you left. There ain't a broken heart beating in my chest. I locked shit away, forgot about the rest. Yeah, you don't hurt me like you used to. I'm over crying, so screw the boo-hoo. We left all that shit in the past. It's no surprise how our love didn't last, cause that smile ain't giving no reason to wish our love was in season, to ever wanna get back with you, to ever wanna get back with you. Said the smile ain't giving no reason to wish our love was in season, to ever wanna get back with you, to ever wanna get back with you.
Faded photos of our jaded love, two young lovers lost in time. Faded feelings left in muted hearts. Faded photos stuck in time. We got the faded photos that are stuck in time. We got the faded photos. We got the faded photo that are stuck in time. Yeah. Break it down,
Cause that smile ain't giving no reason to wish our love was in season, to ever wanna get back with you, to ever wanna get back with you. Said the smile ain't giving no reason to wish our love was in season, to ever wanna get back with you, to ever wanna get back with you.
So that was Chad the Stallion, I guess. Victor, what do you mean by doing the Cole Porter thing again?
I think this song is kind of emotionally ambiguous, right? There's
Oh.
the pain of the nostalgia, but yet when the rap comes in, it shifts the mood a little bit. So then you're wondering, exactly. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, he's one of
Yeah.
America's great songwriters, but it's remarkable that I've heard 2 songs from you today that have gone that way out of 3. So wondering what's going on in your life, Chad.
Well, I think, one of the things I definitely stay away from using a lot of Ionian mode stuff. So I'm not writing 1-4-5 songs a lot. So I think some of the sometimes I don't even use the root chord of the key signature. So it does add an ambiguity to, you don't really even know what key you're in, right? Like, am I hearing this as a major song? Am I hearing this as a minor song? I don't know what it is, because I just throw out all of that theory, because I think like a lot of songs to me that follow very strict theory rules become boring. So a lot of my songs don't start on the 1. So you really don't know what you're feeling necessarily, but I can definitely write the other way too. But when I'm doing this type of music, I definitely stay away from the traditional. So awesome. Well, thanks for listening to a couple songs. Hopefully this is helpful with the title thing. Like I said, definitely post your title or your songs that you write so we can all comment and help each other too. And again, check out the Prozody, the membership group. A few of you are already signed up. Hopefully more of you will sign up as well. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be like group coaching, group exercises, accountability, connection, and then most importantly, education and building you as a songwriter. But next workshop is coming up on July 30th. We're going to get together, and I want to learn about your songwriting goals, right? So I want to know what your goals are with songwriting, and I want you to share your goals with others, because there may be people in the group that have complementary goals, right? So let's say you're a lyric writer and you're like, I really wish I had someone who could play guitar. And there might be someone who's like, I play guitar, but I can't write lyrics very well. So then you might be able to collaborate, kind of what Dory was talking about. And also, the world is full of negativity. I don't know if you've noticed lately. Shocker. Especially in the United States. So if any of you outside of the United States have rooms we can rent, we'll be there, shortly after November 5th. But yeah, so I wanted to get everybody together and really just talk about just kind of our goals and what you're looking to accomplish, and see if there's ways that we can support each other. So appreciate all of you. I'll post this in the community here shortly, but hopefully we'll see you on the 30th. And then Dana's leading our workshop on Saturday, August 3rd. So Dana, I'm excited for that. So I know that people have been asking some questions, and I'm excited to see what kind of vocal tips that you have, because I think that's something that if you can improve your voice, you can change the way that you write songs. I think it's something that's not talked about a lot within the songwriting community, but I think the more you can sing, the more you can kind of figure out songs. So Dana's gonna turn us all into Celine Dion. Hair flip. Yeah. Awesome. Well, everybody, thanks so much for joining today. Hopefully you have a good rest of the weekend, and I will see you all soon.
Thanks, Chad.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.